It's The Line of Fire with your host, Dr. Michael Brown, your voice of moral, cultural, and spiritual revolution. Here again is Dr. Michael Brown.
Uh-oh. Oh, that sounds ominous. Oh no. Oh no. Looks like I am in big trouble. Michael Brown, welcome back to The Line of Fire. The Human Rights Campaign has put me on notice. Joe, we have clip number 7 ready. The Human Rights Campaign, the world's largest gay activist organization, oddly named the Human Rights Campaign. You say, don't you believe gay rights are human rights? Human rights? Well, every gay individual, lesbian individual, however you identify, of course you're a human being, and of course you're entitled to be treated as a human being with respect and dignity and protection like every other human being, of course. But it's an odd name, the Human Rights Campaign, because they've never done anything to help oppressed women worldwide. They've never done anything to feed the poor worldwide. They've never done anything to help resolve world hunger issues worldwide. They've never done anything to help anyone aside from those who identify as LGBT. So Human Rights Campaign is an oddly named group anyway. But putting that aside, the HRC has put me on notice. They want me to know that they are on to my ways of allegedly exporting hatred, anti-gay hatred around the world. They put out a 26-page report. I, along with Matt Staver on page 22, received dishonorable mention for going to Peru and inciting hatred against gays and lesbians. Matt Staver, one of the most respected Christian attorneys in America and dean of the Liberty Law School at Liberty University, actually went to Peru and lectured Congress about the differences between running a government or a country or a constitution, founding a constitution based on principles, including God, or based on principles without God. He went through that, covered a number of issues, including dealing with pro-life issues. I went there and had a special meeting with congressional leaders and university chancellors, at which I began by saying, I'm not here to incite hatred against anyone, not here to demonize anyone, in which I said it could be that some of your best friends, coworkers, colleagues, that they identify as gay or lesbian. I said, rather, I want you to know what happens in a society, using American as an example, when we normalize homosexuality. Or when you redefine marriage, here's what happens. Here are the consequences. So for that, I am on the HRC's list for exporting hatred. Now, on the one hand, I smile when I get reports like that. I've been put on these other lists, and Jesus said, rejoice when you're spoken against for the gospel, and everything I presented had to do with gospel truths, and everything I presented ultimately is based on love for God and love for my neighbor, what I believe is best for society, without an ounce of hatred in me towards anyone. Nonetheless, the HRC knows that this rhetoric can stir things up and perhaps even help with their fundraising. Remember, they're influential enough that at their annual fundraising events, they have people like President Obama speak for them. So for the sake of truth and to expose that it's actually the HRC that is exporting hatred, rather than them putting me on notice, I want to put them on notice that their exaggerations, their lies, their mischaracterizations will be exposed. And I extend an open invitation to President Chad Griffin or any spokesman from the HRC to join me on the air and to demonstrate that what I am doing is based on hatred rather than truth. Here's what they had to say about yours truly on the video. For a man to lie with a man is contrary to what God intended. The unspoken mantra of gay activists for many years has been, you will be delegitimized if you do not embrace, accept, and celebrate homosexuality. If I say Jesus didn't condemn homosexuality, do I therefore justify pedophilia? Because Jesus didn't condemn pedophilia. I have an issue with 2 men marrying or 2 women marrying. Can't someone understand that the world's best mommy is not a good daddy? As you see, if you're watching on the video that we'll post later, if you're listening on radio, you just have to picture it. But I figure, having been put on notice like that, it's best that I go undercover and wear this disguise, because it could be as I travel to other countries. countries I've been to where I'm asked to address these issues are coming back into America. I better wear this disguise. No, I'm not wearing a silly disguise. Look, here's the fact. What did I think of it? I do 2 hours of live radio every day. That's 10 hours of audio a week. I've spoken publicly in thousands of different settings. There are thousands of messages, sermons available online, and written hundreds and hundreds of articles and thousands of pages of literature to pick from. And here are the 4 things that I said that make me guilty of exporting hatred around the world. Number 1, to lie with a man lying with a man is contrary to God's intended design, what God intended. That's hatred. That's hatred to say that God did not design a man physically to have sex with another man. That's hatred to say only a man and woman coming together can physically reproduce a child. That's hatred. And is it hatred? Is it hatred if, for example, medical studies indicate that cigarette smoking is dangerous? Is it hatred to spread that information? Well, is it hatred to say that there are a lot of health risks associated with one of the main male activities? Could it be because that's not what God intended? There was a man who posted a review of my book, Can You Be Gay and Christian, on Amazon, and he said, I've been homosexual all my life. I can't see my desires ever changing. He said, to my knowledge, I was born this way. He said, my lover of 45 years died in my arms after a committed relationship. He said, now he's become a follower of Jesus. He knows he cannot live out the way he has been living. And he doesn't know that his desires will change. But he said this, even an atheist can tell you that a man is not designed to be with a man or a woman with a woman. That's not hatred. That's just clear biological observation, natural law. And how about this? It is a gay mantra that you will be legitimized if you don't embrace, accept, and celebrate homosexuality. That's exactly what the HRC is proving. Exactly what I said, that they'll try to delegitimize you, even demonize you, if you don't accept, celebrate, embrace homosexual practice and homosexuality. In other words, I can say treat everyone with civility. I was just in Singapore. I was asked about school issues and things like this and how we handle things with kids who identify as gay. I said, you teach your kids that if a kid's bullied, you stand up for that kid. You teach your kid if there's someone different, you be the best friend to that kid. You teach your kid that if there's someone that's outcast or says they're gay and kids turn on them, you bring that kid to your home for lunch and you show them love. Okay, but I don't celebrate homosexuality. I don't accept or embrace it as God's best, nor do I say we should redefine marriage. What's the HRC do? Exactly what I said on the clip. That is exposed in the HRC, not me. And then third, I said if Jesus didn't directly address the subject of homosexuality, which, by the way, 3 different ways he does address it, as I mentioned when I was on Piers Morgan in a widely viewed video after the event. But, of course, he does address it in 3 different ways. And he's a first-century Jewish rabbi. It was taken for granted. Jewish teaching in that day and biblical teaching was very strongly against homosexual practice. But just consider this, all right? I was saying you can't use the argument from silence. I've also said Jesus did not explicitly address wife beating. What does that prove? Jesus didn't expressly address many other things, shooting heroin, all right, drug use. Where does he address that? Where does Jesus explicitly address pedophilia or bestiality or many other subjects? So my point was, he doesn't address alien invasions. Does that mean that he thought that to teach that people came from Mars is no big deal? They were just not relevant questions that were disputed. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not calling gays pedophiles. Again, I'm being misrepresented willfully and intentionally by folks spreading hate and spreading misinformation. Again, to all those at the HRC, I'm sure you're hardworking and many dedicated and believe in what you're doing. Okay, I don't question that. I believe you're motivated by that more than money. But let me just say this. Your lies will be exposed. They will. 2 Corinthians 13:8, Paul says you can do nothing against the truth, only for the truth. And then lastly, this is hate. This is allegedly hatred to say that the best mommy is not a good daddy. Moms are not dads. Dads are not moms. If you were raised in a healthy home where the mom had her role and the dad had her role, they loved you the same, but there were different roles that they had because men and women are different, and boys and girls growing up are different. They have different needs. Both parents are important, but the world's best mommy is not a good daddy. The world's best daddy is not a good mommy. That's not a hatred. That's simple fact that almost everyone raised in a healthy home will agree with. And by the way, I didn't say that two lesbian moms don't love their kid or two gay dads don't love their kid. I never said that for a split second. In fact, I've said the opposite scores of times. But rather than accurately present things, what you have done is seek to incite fear by spreading hate against people who are actually people of goodwill, who love God and care about society, and simply do not believe it's best to redefine marriage or celebrate homosexuality. So, HRC, I'm putting you on notice.